When we have a strong sense of self-worth, we approach relationships with a sense of confidence and mutual respect. We understand that we are worthy of love, kindness, and respect, and we are not willing to settle for anything less. We also have the ability to say no when necessary, to protect ourselves from situations or people that do not align with our values or treat us well. By establishing healthy boundaries and learning to advocate for our own needs, we create space for relationships that are reciprocal, balanced, and fulfilling. Good morning, afternoon, everyone. Have you ever found yourself in a relationship that you later realized was not right for you? It might have felt perfect at first, but soon you were left questioning your choices, feeling hurt, or wondering how things went wrong. Many of us fall into the trap of repeatedly attracting the wrong people, and it often leaves us feeling frustrated, heartbroken, and confused. But understanding the root causes of why this happens can lead to healthier relationships and greater emotional well-being. Vulnerability is a key element in every meaningful relationship, yet it is often misunderstood. In fact, many people mistakenly perceive vulnerability as a weakness. In reality, vulnerability is the core of connection and emotional intimacy. It allows us to show others who we truly are, our strengths, our insecurities, our desires, and our flaws. When we open up to someone, we are letting them in, hoping for a deep emotional bond. However, if we do not approach vulnerability with self-awareness and a healthy sense of self-worth, it can lead to falling for the wrong people repeatedly. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we risk rejection, disappointment, or even betrayal. But vulnerability is also what makes it possible for us to experience love, trust, and belonging. It's not the vulnerability itself that is the problem, it's how we manage it and who we share it with that can determine the success of our relationships. Often we fall for the wrong people because we are overly eager to share our vulnerability without first ensuring that the other person is ready and capable of handling it. When we open ourselves too soon or with the wrong people, we may end up getting hurt, and the emotional wounds we experience may leave us questioning why we continue to attract people who don't meet our needs. At times, we might mistake the excitement of someone paying attention to us for a deeper connection. The emotional chemistry we feel might make us want to jump in, share our innermost thoughts, and reveal our feelings. But this can be dangerous if the person we are opening up to is not emotionally available or does not have the capacity to reciprocate our feelings. Instead of a deep, genuine bond forming, we may end up in a one-sided relationship where we are the only ones giving, while the other person takes. This kind of vulnerability doesn't lead to healthy, balanced relationships, but rather leaves us feeling depleted and unfulfilled. Another issue with vulnerability in relationships is that sometimes we are not vulnerable with ourselves first. If we don't take the time to understand who we are, what we need, and what we truly desire in a partner, we can easily fall into relationships based on temporary emotions or superficial attraction. Our vulnerability can be directed towards someone who does not respect it or understand it fully. If we have not spent time developing a solid sense of self, we may allow ourselves to become attached to people who make us feel validated for a short time, but do not align with our values or long-term goals. The key to healthy vulnerability is having a clear understanding of our own worth. When we are confident in who we are and what we offer in a relationship, we can share our vulnerability in a way that is empowering. Instead of seeking validation or attention from others to feel worthy, we approach relationships with a sense of completeness. This allows us to share our true selves with someone who values and respects us for who we are, not for what we can give them or how we make them feel. Learning to manage vulnerability is not about shutting ourselves off from others. It's about opening up when it's appropriate and when we feel safe. Healthy vulnerability is a balance between emotional openness and self-protection. It's about knowing when to share and when to hold back based on the other person's readiness and capacity to engage in a genuine, reciprocal relationship. If we are able to approach vulnerability with emotional intelligence and self-worth, we are less likely to fall for people who take advantage of our openness and more likely to attract those who value and cherish us for who we truly are. Our past experiences, especially those from childhood and early romantic relationships, have a significant impact on the choices we make in our adult relationships. These early experiences shape the way we perceive love, intimacy, and trust. If we have unresolved emotional wounds or have not fully processed past trauma, we are more likely to attract or gravitate toward relationships that mirror these unresolved issues. Without even realizing it, we may fall into familiar patterns that stem from our past, even if those patterns are unhealthy. This can be one of the primary reasons why people continuously fall for the wrong individuals, leading to repeated cycles of disappointment and emotional pain. When we experience emotional wounds in childhood, such as neglect, abandonment, or inconsistent love, we internalize these experiences as part of our identity. Often these wounds remain unhealed, influencing the way we engage in relationships later in life. For example, someone who grew up in a home where love was conditional or where affection was sparse might find themselves in relationships where they have to earn love or validation from their partner. They may unconsciously seek out people who are emotionally unavailable or distant because they are repeating the dynamic they experienced as children, believing that this is how relationships are supposed to be. These unresolved wounds can create a cycle of disappointment as they continue to seek out relationships that reinforce their early experiences of love, rather than allowing themselves to experience healthier, more balanced relationships. Similarly, people who have experienced betrayal or abandonment in previous romantic relationships may carry those emotional scars into new ones. If trust was broken in past relationships, they might find themselves attracted to partners who are not trustworthy or who display behaviors that reinforce their fear of abandonment. Even if they consciously desire a healthy, stable relationship, their subconscious mind might lead them to seek out individuals who trigger those old fears. They may feel an unconscious need to prove that they can fix the past, or perhaps they become trapped in the belief that this is the type of relationship they deserve. These patterns are not only exhausting but also emotionally harmful, as they often perpetuate cycles of pain and heartbreak. Moreover, when we haven't taken the time to heal from our past wounds, we might also bring emotional baggage into new relationships. Without realizing it, we may project our unresolved issues onto our new partner. For example, we might assume that our current partner will treat us the same way as someone from our past did, or we might misinterpret their actions based on previous experiences of rejection or hurt. This can create unnecessary tension in the relationship and prevent us from fully being present with our partner. We may also be less willing to trust our partner or allow them the space to show us who they truly are, because we are still carrying the pain from past relationships. Healing from past emotional wounds is crucial in breaking these patterns. It requires self-awareness, a willingness to confront painful memories, and the courage to let go of unhealthy beliefs about love and relationships. It also requires time and self-compassion. By taking the time to reflect on our past experiences and how they've shaped our current choices, we can begin to understand the unconscious patterns that drive our decisions. Once we understand these patterns, we are empowered to make different choices, ones that are rooted in a healthier understanding of love and self-worth. In doing so, we stop repeating the same mistakes and start creating the space for healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Healing from the past doesn't mean erasing it, it means learning from it, understanding its influence on our present, and making conscious decisions to move forward in healthier ways. As we heal, we break free from old patterns and start to attract partners who are truly compatible with who we are today, not the person we were shaped into by our past wounds. Our sense of self-worth plays a critical role in the types of relationships we form. The way we view ourselves directly influences the kinds of people we attract into our lives, as well as the relationships we choose to engage in. When we lack self-worth, we may struggle with establishing healthy boundaries and may find ourselves in relationships that do not serve us. We might settle for less than we deserve or tolerate behaviors that go against our values simply because we do not believe we are worthy of better treatment. This lack of self-worth often results in repeatedly falling for the wrong people, causing frustration, heartache, and emotional pain. When our self-worth is low, we may become dependent on external validation to feel good about ourselves. We seek out relationships where we hope others will confirm our value, but this is not a sustainable or healthy way to build self-esteem. If we are constantly looking to others to validate our worth, we give up control of how we feel about ourselves and rely on outside sources that may not always be reliable or consistent. When we place our worth in the hands of others, we are at risk of being taken advantage of or mistreated, as we may accept behavior that we would not tolerate otherwise. In such situations, we might find ourselves in relationships where we are giving far more than we are receiving, or where we are putting our partner's needs above our own to the detriment of our emotional well-being. Furthermore, a lack of self-worth can prevent us from setting clear boundaries. Boundaries are essential for maintaining healthy relationships because they protect our emotional, physical, and mental well-being. When we don't believe we are worthy of respect, we may hesitate to enforce boundaries or allow others to cross lines that should be non-negotiable. Without healthy boundaries, we risk becoming emotionally drained or even resentful in relationships. We may allow others to treat us poorly or fail to stand up for ourselves when something is not right. In relationships where boundaries are not respected, it is easy to lose sight of our own needs and become entangled in a dynamic that is imbalanced or unhealthy. By failing to set boundaries, we also fail to communicate our needs and expectations, which can create confusion, frustration, and conflict. When we have a strong sense of self-worth, we approach relationships with a sense of confidence and mutual respect. We understand that we are worthy of love, kindness, and respect, and we are not willing to settle for anything less. We also have the ability to say no when necessary to protect ourselves from situations or people that do not align with our values or treat us well. By establishing healthy boundaries and learning to advocate for our own needs, we create space for relationships that are reciprocal, balanced, and fulfilling. Another important aspect of self-worth is the understanding that we are enough as we are. We don't need to be fixed or prove ourselves in order to deserve love. When we truly believe that we are valuable, we are more likely to seek out partners who see us for who we are and appreciate us. On the other hand, when our sense of worth is based on external achievements or validation, we may attract people who are only interested in what we can offer them rather than who we are as a person. These types of relationships are often shallow and unfulfilling because they are not grounded in a true understanding of each other's values and worth. By strengthening our sense of self-worth, we gain the clarity and confidence needed to choose partners who truly value us and treat us with respect. We stop settling for relationships that are toxic, emotionally draining, or unsatisfying. Instead, we open ourselves up to relationships that are built on mutual love, trust, and respect. Recognizing our inherent worth allows us to form deep, healthy, and meaningful connections where both partners support and encourage each other to grow and thrive. When we learn to honor our own needs, establish healthy boundaries, and stop seeking validation from others, we stop falling for the wrong people and begin attracting those who are truly aligned with our values, desires, and goals.